This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me via Zencaster is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, the draft is over. The Islanders didn't have the sexiest draft they've ever had. That was, last year, if we're being blunt. But you said last week that you wanted to see a Garth Snow type draft, and buddy, you got it. Because this is a very defensive heavy draft here. They even traded for a defenseman to add one more on top of all that. So pretty good marks I'm seeing across the board, but they're not one of like the big winners of the weekend. I don't know how much of the draft you got to see. We'll talk about the show too in this first half a little bit and get into some UFAs in the second half. But what did you make of the Islanders draft and the haul that they got with these 5 players?
Yeah, thank you. But we're burying the lead here. First thing we got to lead the show with is you made a huge pilgrimage yesterday that we gotta tell the folks about first. You finally got there. You finally got there. Malte Gustafsson, he'll get there soon, but you beat him.
Yeah, so we were out on the island in Manorville, seeing my dad for Father's Day a week late. He and my mom live with my sister now, and that was where we got to go now. 4-hour trip it took us to get out there. Horrendous.
Worth it, though.
Absolutely horrendous. I can't even blame the World Cup because we were traveling through Staten Island and Brooklyn. And anyway, we got out there. We went to a place called J&R Steakhouse, which is very tasty. And I was like, because my sister had taken them to the Big Duck this week. And I was like, wait, I didn't know you lived that close to the Big Duck. She's like, yeah, it's like 15 minutes from here. So we finally went, and I finally saw it and touched it and got pictures of it with my wife and daughter. My daughter was like, I don't care about this bit. I mean, she's 16. She's like, I don't care about the bit. I'm like, come on, just do me a favor. Come on. Consider this another Father's Day present. All you got to do is stand in front of this duck and take a picture. Okay. So she did that. So it was good. I was glad to see it. People were jumping, taking pictures. They were all there, families hanging out. So it was great. Right on the side of the road. Loved it. It was everything I had dreamed it was going to be.
Yeah. And my folks are putting up a friend of the family who's they're from England. They're in just for the World Cup, and so staying with my parents. And I showed him the picture, and he's just like, "So it's just this big duck?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Does it do anything?" I go, "Yeah." I mean, they light it up around Christmas.
Yeah.
And there's a gift shop in there that's never open.
Right.
And and that's it. And he's like, "All right." He's like, "I guess I gotta next time I come, I gotta go see this big duck." And I was like, the best part about the big duck is it's the perfect size, because like it's just big enough to be called the big duck, but it's not too big where it's like, it's like outlandish, So I think it's perfect. So I'm really glad you got there. And on the draft, the second biggest thing that happened on the island, I guess. It sounds like kind of the Islanders just had a draft, right? They didn't do anything. They didn't go off the board. They didn't come away as the winners. Right. I got sent one tweet about from one of the great prospect overhypers of all time. Everybody's just it's either Bobby Orr, Cale Makar, or if you're not, you might not make the if you're not in that class, you're just like Victor Hedman, right? Like you're just one of those. He's only Victor Hedman. But I saw somebody who's like, "Wow, Schaefer and Gustafsson on the left side, the Islanders are going to be nails." I was like, "You guys said this about the Devils. We've said this about the Sabres. The whatever." Right. And all of the people who were like falling over themselves to praise the Sharks. The Sharks are whoa, what a wagon!
They're going to be a dynasty. Oh my God, they're running away with it.
Right. Okay. Oh my goodness, I can't believe these teams are letting the Sharks get all these good players. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, I think when we got to look at two different things, right? The draft itself, like the actual like draft, not the bigger picture of like around the draft, which with player movement and all that. As far as the draft, I think the Islanders came out fine. I mean, I don't see one reason to be like griping about it, or also to be like, wow, this is home run. As far as the draft, all the GMs were together at the scouting combine. There's everyone's phone is just ringing off the hook. I think the Islanders are way behind everybody else in the division this offseason, and frankly, like the league too. I know they made a trade for a college, Harvard guy who's just seems like a free guy to put in Bridgeport, Hamilton, and wherever Worcester is now. Where is it now? Trenton.
Yeah. Trenton.
But other like every other team, it seems like was improving. Like I think the Islanders, you can make a pretty fair argument right now, are like the 7th best team in the division, and that's frightening, because as we've said time and time again, like no one's looking for like change for the sake of change here, but we are looking for some sort of change, and so I think in that regard, I came away from the draft being like, what's going on? Like what's the plan here? What are you selling us? What are you selling Matthew Schaefer, who was at the draft, in a suit and being like,
he was the best part of the draft for me.
Yeah, right. He just stole the show basically for people on Sportsnet. But I don't know. I don't know what the I think the Islanders have taken some steps back here while everyone else is taking steps forward.
Yeah. I think that's fair to think that. I mean, we'll talk about the Rangers acquiring Pavel Dorofeev and Albert Smits, the guy I talked about on the show a couple weeks ago. Obviously the Devils have all the promise in the world. Everybody's going to be talking about them until they stop, basically. And then you've got the Capitals, who got better. You got the Penguins, who are one of the big winners of the draft. Who am I forgetting? Carolina just won the Stanley Cup, duh.
Right.
And Columbus is sort of the wild card a little bit in terms of what are they going to be next year. And we got a whole thing about what's going on there in the back half of this episode, where we're going to present a Masterly of Theater about their situation. But yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, the Islanders are definitely on a slower timeline, which is weird, because considering they have Schaefer, who is, literally the do-it-all guy in the league right now, including broadcaster, which is kind of psychotic. But I think the plan, and we talked about this a little bit in our chat over at the Patreon, is that you'll notice that a lot of the moves the Islanders are making are sort of short-term moves. We're going to talk about Tony DeAngelo in a little bit too. Comes back on a 2-year deal. And they have, we still don't know what's going on with Anders Lee. There's 1 year left of Kyle Palmieri. Yes, there's some guys who are still on long-term deals, but maybe something happens with them, trade-wise and such. So I think that's sort of the plan, is to, we talked about this last week. I don't see it working out this way because so many guys do have so much term left, but I think they're just going to let a lot of these contracts sort of expire on their own. It's not, I don't necessarily want to watch another season like the last 5 and make it 6 in a row where it's just like, okay, maybe they're a borderline playoff team and maybe they'll finish over the goal line at the end of the year and maybe win a game in the first round. Like, I don't know if I want to sign up for that again, but that's certainly the way it's trending right now. Pete DeBoer is a huge, factor here. If he can get them to play anything almost resembling NHL defense, well, maybe they'll win 2 games in the first round. Like, I don't know. It's not, there are reasons to be somewhat optimistic, but there's a lot of reasons to be like, what are we doing here? And also when you see the teams around you getting better. I mean, listen, the Islanders having the Stanley Cup winner in their division is not a new phenomenon. Like, we've seen this for a number of years now, right? So whether it was the Penguins, the Capitals, now the Hurricanes, the Rangers almost went to the Cup Finals a couple of times. So, like, this is not new for us, but it does feel a little bit like everybody else is on a bit of an accelerated timeline.
Yeah. And
whereas the Islanders
it feels like they could just get things done, right?
Yes, right.
That's what's been frustrating.
They're being aggressive, whereas the Islanders are being not aggressive.
And you don't even need to be aggressive to like go. You can look at like the Mason McTavish trade or whatever. That's not a player I really wanted, but like teams are going. They're like, we're gonna go get this guy. Here's what we're gonna give up for him, and they make it happen. The Rangers with Dorofeyev too. These are teams just like we can't be the same next year. Right. And what's frustrating is the Islanders went into last year being like, the last thing that you'll see from us is being the same, right? They're like, this is it. Like, we're the new era. Look at all these, trucks driving around with billboards on them that say it, like a new era. Like, you can't just say it and people buy it at first. Like, yeah, I believe that they're not just putting a fresh coat of paint on this thing and then calling it. It's almost like the old Nassau Coliseum. They're like, we'll just put these things up and people think it's looks it's a great venue. But I think that's what's a little. I think that's why people are more mad than they would be had the Islanders just been like from the beginning with this new era. Like, we're going to see this kind of window out and see how the chips go. But instead, it was no. We're pedal to the metal, aggressive, looking to change, looking to get younger, looking to get faster, looking to acquire 37-year-old Andre Palat and 35-year-old Braden Shen and 32-year-old Carson Soucy and extend JG Pedro. Like, it's just I think that's why people are like, well, was that all just lip service? Because that's what it feels like. Yeah. And now it seems like they're just like, no, that never actually happened. We're just this has been the plan all along. And and
you can always get away with it just by saying, well, I've always done this.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
And I think we're gonna hear a lot of like, well, you need 2 teams to make a deal, and we tried to. And what do you mean you tried? I watched I think every other team in the league basically made a significant move outside of the Islanders, and that move might not be something like you want the Islanders to do, but they at least went in a direction or tried to take a step towards their ultimate goal. And I feel like the Islanders just didn't do that. They're one of the only teams in the league where you're just not really sure what it's rudderless. The Islanders have always been called rudderless in this kind of 4 or 5 year term, and I think that I don't disagree with that term right now. And so that's the frustration of this week for me more than anything. Which that, and hell, if the plan is to just be like, yeah, we're just gonna run it back for the season and see what happens, that's fine. I don't think it's going to go well because it's like the Islanders are like, well, with a little bit of better coaching, we would have made the playoffs last year. Well, had the Panthers not lost Sasha Barkov on like the first day of training camp and then had a host of injuries, they probably would have made the playoffs too. We would have been further out, and had the Rangers not like started just got the cat claws out right away. The Devils, Jack Hughes fell on like a beer bottle. Right. And so like you're not going to get, if you're going to try to win the 2025-2026 Stanley Cup in 2026-27, it's going to be really hard to do. So I don't know. It's my concerns are they didn't dissipate at all. That's what I was really hoping for this week more than anything. The draft was fine. That's good for a couple years from now. It sounds like the picks went as well as they could have. Would have liked it. Brian Trottier's grandson, but that was a little frustrating. But the other stuff is why I want it to be like a little bit more excited, right? There's very little chance that you and I, when we do our last episode for the season in a couple of days, are like, wow, I can't wait for the Islanders to get back on the ice, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's the overarching thing for sure. And I mean, you nailed it. We're going to talk about all these picks, obviously, and again, they all seem like fine picks. Nobody's come out and been like, what the hell are they doing? But they're not exciting picks. Last year was the exciting one. Schaefer, Eklund, Aitchison, even Prokhorov, Luca Romano had a lot of people, fans last year too. And then they had prospect camp and it got us even more excited. This year is the exact opposite. After the season that was, we're all kind of looking at it now like, okay, but what's going on? And then again, teams getting better at a much more accelerated rate than the Islanders are. And if they just came out and were like, no, this is what we're doing, that'd be one thing, but they don't seem to want to do that. They just, whatever day they decide they're going to do the thing, that's their thing. That's what they're doing that day, so it sounds like they want to try and compete now, but I'm telling you, and I'm telling them that we've seen what this roster can do over the last 5 years. And it is be a bubble playoff team that maybe wins a game or two in the first round. That's what this team is. Like the team that made the semifinals, they are now gone. 6 years going to be in September in the rearview mirror. So that time is over. And this current roster right now is what it is, a bubble playoff team. They have some really good players, but as on the whole, it just isn't good enough to compete for a cup, a conference final, a second round, whatever. But they seem determined to stick with that. And that's before making a decision on Anders Lee. I still think he comes back, by the way. We don't need to belabor the point. We'll talk some UFAs later. But it's not exactly the most exciting thing. However, we should get into this before, if anybody's still listening to this, if we haven't turned them all off by now. Let's talk about the draft picks that they did take. First round was the one everybody was watching. I do want to talk about the broadcast in a little bit, but pick 13, the Islanders took defenseman Malte Gustafsson out of the HV71 system in Sweden, a team that the Islanders have dealt with and drafted from before. He's a big dude. He's like 6'3", 6'4". He was dwarfing Matthew Schaefer, who announced the pick, which was really cool to see. The book on him tends to be, he gives up a little bit on the offensive end, but defensively, he's really, really good. Very smart, very smooth skater. Not the snarly guy you think of a lot of times when you think of, he's good defensively. Not mean, but at the same time, very smart defensively. And frankly, sounds a lot like Adam Pelech, which is like, okay, that's cool. So you want to give me Swedish Adam Pelech? Sure, I'll take it. Like every pick, he's a big, tall, skinny kid. My wife was like, wow, he's only 17. I'm like, yeah, that's who they pick. I mean, Schaefer was 17 2 weeks before the season started. He's barely 6. It was mostly still 16 at that point. So, I think it's fine. Scott Wheeler, I saw, said, he didn't hate the pick. The Islanders do have a lot of left-handed defensemen. I want to talk about that in a minute because they added more as the day went on. But, all things considered, not a guy we thought of when we did our episode last week. Although, shout out to Master Leaf Theater's own Don Becker, who was the only person in that crowdsourcing article to say that he would have liked Gustafsson. So for his efforts, congratulations, Don. I'm going to send you an Islanders Anxiety Club patch because you didn't have one. So there you go. He's the only one to have called Gustafsson. But any thoughts on Malte Gustafsson? As far as I know, he's the only Islander to share a first name with a delicious frozen treat. which is kind of cool as well. But no, seems fine. That's the best I can do. Again, we don't know anything, but seems fine is about as good as we can get.
Yeah, and then as you said, like when you're reading the scouting reports, you're just like, oh yeah, this guy sounds like Adam Pelech, which sounds good to me. Right. Swedish Adam Pelech is fine. Been a while. I mean, I know we had Sebastian Aho for a little bit, but it's been a while since the Islanders had a standout Swede on the back end.
I mean, this guy stands out because he's a friggin' he's enormous kid.
Yeah, he's huge. And I mean, it was fine. I also appreciated that the broadcast had a fireside chat with every draft pick up until him, and then they're like, we don't need to.
Yeah.
That's right. So he's going to the island. We're good. But yeah, I've got no like I said, I got no qualms with the way they were drafting at all.
Yeah. Ryan Lynn, who I think a lot of people had on their board going to the Islanders, ended up going to the Sharks, as did Ivar Stenberg going second overall. Sharks were one of the big winners. Everybody loves what Mike Grier is building there. Maybe they're a great team. Talk to me in 10 years and we'll see what happens, because we've been through that road before. So he was the only one after that I thought, oh yeah, that was the one guy. Tynan Lawrence, I believe, went to St. Louis. He was a guy who was high on people's lists. Ethan Belchitz went to some Western Conference team, I think. Oh, it was Utah. But, those were the guys that kind of stuck out to me because we talked about them last week. But all in all, I thought this was going to be fine. Then on Saturday, the Islanders continued to take defensemen. They took Lincoln Cooney at 109 and Vladimir Drevecki at 141. Lincoln Cooney, I believe, is a righty, and Drevecki might be another lefty. He shoots right, and then I think Drevecki is a lefty. I saw. And then in rounds 6 and 7, they took two forwards, Artem Matyuk and Robert Cowan, in the 7th round at 205. They had pretty good numbers, I guess. I mean, again, it's late. Cowan's big thing was he's also from Edina, Minnesota, which is where Anders Lee is from, obviously. As we said last week, we don't know anything about these guys. And what cracks me up, Drevecki, Vladimir Drevecki, great name, by the way, sounds like a basketball player, also was a righty shot. We don't know anything about these guys. We won't know, frankly, for several years what they are. We're going to see them in prospect camp. We'll get all excited about them, I'm sure. But what cracks me up is when they take Gustafsson and all I see is another lefty. All they've got are lefties. Oh my God, all these lefties, Schaefer and Aitchison and George. And now they re-signed Tony DeAngelo. And now this guy, all these lefties. What are they going to do with all these lefties? Left. The likelihood that all of these guys end up playing significant minutes for the Islanders over the next, 4 years, maybe, is infinitely small. Like Schaefer, we know is going to be here, obviously, hopefully forever. DeAngelo, we know is going to be here. We hope to see more of George. Aitchison's going to be in Hamilton probably for the majority of this coming year. Guys like Carlo Delius, Ville Pulkkinen, they're kind of getting older in terms of prospects. I don't know what's going to be left of them. Gustafsson is not going to see this continent for at least 2 years, if not, more, because he's going to play in Sweden, then he's going to go to Hamilton. I'm not worried about the Islanders having too many guys on one particular side of the ice because, again, at some point this will all sort itself out. They do need some right-handed defensemen, and we'll get to them in our UFA section here. But I feel like people are really straining themselves to be mad about this when it's, the Islanders have a lot of problems. Make no mistake. Having too many left-handed defensemen isn't really one of them. And in the event that these guys all turn out to be really, really good, well, then guess what? Somebody else out there is going to need left-handed defensemen, and you could probably trade them for whatever you need at that point. So I am not worried in the slightest that a lot of their better defensive prospects are all on the same side because this will sort itself out. It really will. I promise you. And lock in a couple of spots here, but we'll see. I wanted to see Isaiah George play all last season. So, and I think, is Marshall Warren a lefty too? I want these guys to succeed. I really do. But the reality is that maybe some of them won't. And so we'll have to figure that out at that point. But I don't know. Did you see a lot of kvetching about that? That was the biggest thing for me. It wasn't so much about Gustafsson. It was more about oh my God, all these lefties. Well, it's like, yeah, okay. And give me all the goalies. I don't care. Nobody just, it doesn't matter. some of these guys won't be here. And so this will eventually sort itself out one way or the other. If you do end up trading them, just make sure you're trading the right guys. That's the only thing I got to say. But yeah, anything on the lefty situation that was a big deal?
No, I saw that too, and I was wondering if people are just like a little frustrated with that the blue line is largely just going to be the same.
Yeah, probably.
Just generally, right? Like
Yeah.
it was, and I think that's part of it's just like spilled over into that. I mean, Adam Boquist is not getting his qualifying offer, so he's probably done. But
I thought he had already signed with somebody, right?
I don't know. I don't know. But he's him and Carson Soucy out, and you just plug Romanov, and I guess you put George as the front runner for one of the spots, and you go back with the same D, right? And I think that's why people are like, oh,
sure.
I think it's it's like misguided frustration, and that's what's gonna, and like the Islanders made this bed, the front office made this bed where every move they make, people want an outlet to be frustrated, to let out their frustration, I should say. And so if the Islanders, sign Mark Gatcomb tomorrow, right, to a 1-year deal for to come back, his whatever, 1 year, $1 million, for people are just going to be mad because they're going to be like, well, why? Like, I can't believe we're running it back, right? So it's not that they're going to be mad at Mark Gatcomb coming back to the Islanders as they are just mad with how the shape of things are shaping up just generally. So I think that's more of what it was, in my estimation. But yeah, definitely not going to keep me up at night. That most of their defensive prospects are on the left side. As we've seen, from other teams, at least, you can make trades to address needs. If you need somebody who can score you a goal, you can go get Pavel Dorofeyev. You can, if you want to get like a young center, and you got a late round first round pick, and a mid first round pick. I don't know if that sounds familiar, but if you want to do that, you can trade for someone like Mason McTavish, who, once again, not for me, but if you have those assets, you can do it. So I just think that they're frustrated about that too. That we watched a couple of trades that the Islanders, had they handled their assets better this season, could have been making those kind of trades. And frankly, I think just generally, like, the Islanders were in a position to make some changes this offseason, and they could have been rewarded for it. The names were out there, Pelech, Barzal, like all these names that were out there, right? They could have absolutely sold high on someone like Emil Heineman or whatever you want to do, right? There were a number of different ways to go about it, and the Islanders just never did it. Other teams did, and I think that people are now just going to take that frustration out, and so, like, every little thing is now going to just be heaped on top of what the pile of frustration is, and make people more mad at things like there's too many 18-year-old left-handed defensemen playing for the University of Denver or HV71 in our system, and not be when they're really mad that, boy, we're just going to watch the same team next year, aren't we?
Yeah. No, I think that, and I meant to mention this before when you were saying about how frustrating it is that the other teams are kind of moving along. It's because they had assets. The Islanders went into this with no second round pick, no third round pick. They had traded their first round pick for Braden Shen. I don't know if anybody heard this. That happened a while back at the trade deadline. I don't know if this was kind of a secret thing that happened. The Islanders had an extra first round pick from the Brock Nelson trade for the Avalanche, and they traded it for Braden Shen. I know, go figure. So without that kind of ammunition, this is the kind of draft you get. It's fine. These players all look like, they might be productive at some point. Some of them won't be. That's just how it works. But, certainly the first round pick does. And maybe you get a guy at the end who, there was one guy, I think it was maybe Dravecki, who again, Scott Wheeler said he had seen, maybe a little bit higher, or maybe a Cooney, I'm not sure. But, again, if two of these guys end up playing out of this draft, then that's a good draft. If all five of them do, well, then that's a home run, grand slam. But chances are, you're looking at maybe the one guy out of the first round, and then that's about it. So we shall see. But again, without having first round picks, I don't think they want to trade next year's first round pick. They don't really have, the second round pick that they didn't have was in Chicago, thanks to the Josh Bailey dumping from a couple of years ago. The third round pick again went for Carson Soucy. So that's without trading a body off of the roster, you're not going to make any kind of big significant jumps forward. And we talked about this. My theory is nobody wants these guys. They just don't.
I was going to bring that up because I've been, that's been ringing around in my head all week, and I'm like, it's so funny how a podcast and people who are writing and on Twitter and all that stuff, like you try to dress it up, right? We have a full spin-off series about people dressing up, just sports talk in insane ways, and I think that what you said is perfect and cuts through the noise, which is, nobody wants these guys. Nobody, and that includes the Islanders, like Islander fans, right? Like just nobody wants these guys, and that's why they're Islanders. It's been that way on the island for a very long. I mean, the 2006-2007 team was famously just a team of nobody wants these guys, so they were like, I guess I'll have to go if I want to keep playing the NHL. I got to go play at Nassau Coliseum for a year, like see how that goes. Go play next to Tom Pody, who also doesn't. He's doing the same thing. So I think that's a perfect way to put it. And you hope that with the Schaeferization of everything, more people are like, that kind of goes away. The Islanders stop being that sort of destination and being a real one, but you got to win. You got to you can't just be like, well, we got this guy out there. Look at him. He's next to Friedge. This is crazy.
Yeah. And obviously it's a little more nuanced and nobody wants these guys. I'm sure people will take Matt Barzal, but not for whatever the Islanders are going to ask for them. And they're going to be like, well, can you retain 25%? No, like we can't, and we'll give you these guys who we don't want anymore for you. Like, well, that doesn't really work that way. Like we want a specific thing. So, but it's just that it comes down to nobody wants Adam Pelech, at this stage in his career, or Ryan Pulock. And even if they did, he's got no move clause. So all he's got to say is, nah, I don't feel like going anywhere. So, again, we are at this point on a trajectory to watch largely the same team next year that we have seen over the last 5 years. And I'm not happy about it, but that seems to be the plan right now. So if you're wondering what the plan is, like you are, I think that is the plan right now. We should also mention that on top of the 3 defensemen they drafted, they also traded for one. You mentioned it before. Ryan Healy was at Harvard. He came over. He was drafted by the Wild in the 4th round in the 2022 draft. He gets traded to the Islanders for nothing. It says future considerations, but we know that means nothing. So I guess a free guy. Maybe the Wild had too many contracts or something. I don't know, but he's 22. He's normal size, 6 foot tall, 183. He's another righty, and he was second on Harvard in scoring with 4 goals and 8 assists in last season. So hey, you never know. Basically, college free agent comes over in a trade for 0. You never know. Putting no stock in this whatsoever, but we shall see. So another defenseman, again, adding to the Garth Snowification of this particular draft. So that's about all we can say. We don't really have a lot to talk about. The only guy we have really any read on at all is Gustafsson, who again seems fine. We'll get a look at him at prospect camp, and then we'll see you in 3 years, pal. Hopefully it works out, and we'll see. But so far, so good. Just want to stick with the draft here, just to finish all these thoughts out. Like I said before, I wasn't kidding. The best part of the draft was Matthew Schaefer. Again, he was there working for Sportsnet. He did some hits. I was watching, obviously, on ESPN. He announced the pick for the Islanders. So he's doing player interviews. He interviewed Gavin McKenna after he was taken first overall by the Leafs. He's bantering on the desk with the talking heads at Sportsnet. He's announcing picks. This guy just does it all. He looks great. He's got a purple suit on. His hair is great. He's making jokes about living with the Martins rent-free still. And so it was really, really nice to see him here representing the Islanders, talking up the organization, talking up Long Island, talking up Matt Martin and his family. And it was great to see. All that stuff completely got blown away once the actual draft started. And it was all about the Leafs and Sharks and Rangers to an extent. But it was nice to see. And I just tell my wife, like, look, here's Schaefer. He's doing all this. Now he's doing this. And she's like, aren't they going to burn him out? And I'm like, well, I hope not, because that would be bad. But he's their most marketable. He's the most marketable star they've had in a long time and maybe ever. And that's saying something with, handsome, talented dude named Matt Barzal on the team, who generally played for the team under Lou Lamoriello, where they, marketing was not part of the equation. So it was great to see. That stuff made me smile. Loved having him out there. loved him making the pick here, and it was cool to see. It was very, very cool, and I can't wait for 32 Thoughts to come out and have Elliot Friedman be like, wow, how about that Matthew Schaefer? And then he's coming for your job, young Bukowskis. And then they go, and then laugh. Anyway, again, what'd you think of the Schaefer? I'm sure this stuff is all on YouTube. If you missed the draft, you can check it all out. But what'd you think of Schaefer, his performance at the draft?
He's the best. And a lot of people have that same concern, right? Of like, are we just going to run this guy into the ground?
Right.
Run the shtick into the ground before, and then he shows up and you're like, you see him, you're like, oh god, and then he says like the first 2 words and he completely disarms you, and you're like, there's this, you can't be cynical about him. So and that shown through again. I didn't like that he was like talking to Gavin McKenna about how much he loves Toronto, because that's just a PTSD thing more than anything. Not I won't hold it against him, but I love that. I had to watch on ESPN for the part I did, and oh boy, it was bad. I mean, that was once again. We'll ask that there's a very simple question. I think the Islanders should start asking themselves this question too before they start doing stuff, which is like, who is this for? Right? We talk about this all the time. Who is this for? And I think that if you ask John Buccigross and Kevin Weeks and Emily Kaplan and Megan Chayka, like, hey, like, who are you guys doing this for? I think Weeks would be like, for me, like, I'm doing this for me. And I think John Buccigross would say, well, I'm doing it for my buds, like, Biz and all those guys. And Megan Chayka's like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what planet she's coming from, but it was so bad. It was just, I used the word punishment. I was like, I just think this is punishment for whatever. I think the NHL is like, you wanted it on ESPN. You wanted ESPN back in the game. Here we go. Because I don't know how you could watch that thing, that broadcast, and one of your tentpole events, right? This is it, the draft, the NFL draft. When you watch the NFL draft, it feels like you're watching a presidential election. Like the coverage of it is blown out. It's crazy, but it's crisp. Like they just know what they're doing. The NHL draft is like, we're just like them, and then you watch it, and it's just like wheels are falling off of it. John Buccigross is and Kevin Weeks are both as cringy as they can get on that. Like Kevin Weeks being like, I just got a text right now that says Kirill Marchenko is not coming back, and they're like, oh my god, that was so newsy. Like, is this? It really feels like a high school, like a AV club broadcast. It's so bad.
Yeah, they throw so much stuff at the wall, hoping something sticks, and it almost never does. Like last year was the Star Trek teleporter room. This year it was the fireside chat in the cabin. Dude, it's June. Why are we got the fireplace on? Like, what did anybody think of this? Like, why are we doing this? Like, obviously the interviews are fine. We didn't need, again, the Star Trek teleporter last year was just as ridiculous. But and then they have the celebrities come out, and it's like, oh, it's Kobe Smulders, oh, it's Luke Bryan, and I gotta just say this right now. I know that I'm old, but that my musical choices are impossibly uncool. Right? Like, I've been listening to more or less the same music since I was in college, and it's the music that makes me feel happy. My daughter does not care about Van Halen and Black Sabbath and Oasis, but when we're in the car, guess what's on the radio? That basically kind of stuff. And so I get where I'm coming from in this era. I have absolutely no love for that sort of auto-tuned country pop that passes for country music these days, and I don't really like what I have seen described as Xanax rap either. It's just like a sleepy sounding guy rapping over like what sounds like a Casio keyboard in the background. I don't like that. If I'm going to listen to hip hop, it's going to be old school stuff with samples and jazz and R&B and that kind of thing. But there is no one person that I hate more in current musical circles than Justin Bieber. This guy makes me so mad. I hate every single one of his songs that I hear. And of course I only ever hear them at the gym where, I'm being mad is not helpful. Every single song I've ever heard this guy do is awful. He does not seem like a cool guy to hang out with. And now I put on the draft. I'm sitting down. I've eaten dinner. I'm ready to watch this. It's bad enough I got to watch the Leafs draft first overall, but what are you going to do? That's how it goes. And now I got to deal with this guy. And I immediately was like, I can't believe I'm dealing like this is just, and then he screws it up. He's like, Mr. McKenna. And so I saw a post. Somebody's like, what did they just draft Gavin McKenna's dad? Like what? So he didn't even do that right. He's not even dressed. Like, put on a suit. I don't know what's the matter with you. To me, I could not think of a worse foot to get off on the draft than having this. Like, you could have picked literally any other famous person from Toronto, or maybe not Drake. Don't pick Drake, but this would have been the worst. And I was just like, there's something about this guy that I really, 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 really don't like. And I get it. I literally saw Sammy Hagar live last week. My wife and I went to see Sammy Hagar. His band is 3 70-year-old guys, and their opener was Rick Springfield, who is also 70-something years old. I get it. It's, music taste is subjective. Mine is very old, but this guy he ain't it for me. And that was the worst possible foot to get off on. And the rest of it, like you said, it's cringy. It's long. Yeah. I get that they have a time slot to fill, so they're going to drag this stuff out. Some of the stuff is cool. They have fans do it. And so they had a Canucks fan, do it, which was kind of cool. Their pick, but like, I don't need to see this other stuff and little skits and things. It's too much. I can't deal with it. So, and then like Gary Bettman we have a trade, he doesn't say we have a trade to announce. He goes, section 103. What do we do? And then there's a bunch of people going, did he just say something? What did he say? And then they go, like a trade. Did anybody think this through? Oh, like you said, it's a show made for TV producers, and I think even they would be like, I don't know.
It's so bad. And there was like some breadcrumbs before the broadcast, like, oh my God, there's a huge celebrity making the Toronto Maple Leafs pick. Better tune in to find out. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think the last thing on a Friday night in the summer that anybody is thinking about outside of the losers like us who watch this stuff and care about it is like, well, I got to see who
right.
I got to see Justin Bieber's going to make a draft pick tonight at the NHL draft. Right. I got to make sure I turn on to ESPN. I'll ignore the World Cup or going out on this Friday night or, just doing whatever. Maybe go see a movie, watch something else. I'm going to watch the NHL draft because of this. And and the NHL carries itself. I mean, even Bettman's face is like, you're not going to believe who's about to walk down that door. And everyone's like, God damn it. Like, this is, and so. But we'll hear all about it. As you said, like a huge win for the league that they can get a big fish like Justin Bieber and pull that stuff up. That's what really matters and grows the game. That's how you get people to care about your sport. And the broadcast was a shambles. There was a great part where they gave they surprised Bill Guerin with the Jim Gregory Award and like he was going to give a speech and they just went to the Kings draft pick instead. And then they tried to go back to him. And I was like, this is perfect. This is what I like to think of when the NHL does these tentpole events. But so, yeah, I mean, it was just an absolute disaster. I'm sure the Sportsnet broadcast was irritating to Canadians who have it, but I don't think it was as much of a train wreck as that. So happy that's over.
Yeah. It's seriously. Now, had the Leafs pick been made by Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson of Rush, I think my feelings on this would be a lot different, but they have they have important stuff to do, like the tour that they're on currently. So they probably were too busy, but, and then, then not only do they follow up Bieber, they have him, they follow him up with Austin Matthews, a man who has the excitement level of a carrot. Like this guy, he's just like, hey man, great to see you. Can't wait to, practice with you. Can you at least pretend like, geez, man, this guy's got he's got the personality of like watered down bread. I don't understand.
It's almost like you explaining how your daughter thought about going to see the Big Duck. It's like, hey Austin, we need you to be on TV to call this guy.
Right.
Oh, it's a Friday night.
Right.
Like, I don't want. What do you mean? I don't know him. Right. I don't even want to be here anymore. Right.
Guy, it's 45 seconds out of your life. Right. Come on.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Just take the picture in front of the duck. It's not that I'm going to turn the camera on. Just be excited for this kid. You're going to be working with him for a bunch of years. Anyway, that's the draft. It was another ESPN production of the NHL, which is thankfully, I guess not over because we're going to have free agency. One final thing to talk about in this first half, and that came the day of the draft, a couple hours before, was the re-signing of Tony DeAngelo to a 2-year deal worth $4.5 million a year. Not unsurprising. Frankly, Tony's played fine as he's been with the Islanders. This is a totally fair deal. I saw people saying, "Oh, that's so much." Again, the cap is going up. $4.5 million for a year for a regular playing defenseman is not that bad. My only issue with it, so everything is fair. Again, Tony's played totally fine for the Islanders. No issues really there. The contract is fine. It's only 2 years, which is fine too. again, a Darsh special. He likes to keep these things short, which is, again, part of the plan, I'm thinking. My only issue is I was really hoping for upgrades. And this gets back to, this is kind of tying together what you were talking about earlier. I wanted to see some upgrades here. And as fine is fine, but when do we get beyond fine? Like, Tony's not going to be better than fine. Like, he's fine, but he's never going to be like, wow, what a great season for this guy. This is amazing. He's really propelling the Islanders towards a new goal, a new, station up there. So from that aspect, I was a little disappointed to see him come back. He's been, pretty quiet while he's been here. If you missed the Tri-State Area Hockey Podcast interview with him, it was really, really good. And actually he talks about, how he wished he had played for Lou Lamoriello earlier in his career so that he could have avoided some of the dumb fights and stuff that he had been in over the years, which kind of got him the reputation that he's gotten. But that being said, forget about all that for now. Just on the ice, on the books, it's a fine deal, but I was just hoping for a little bit more. One other final thing. He has a 3-team no trade list, which I find hilarious because I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's the Rangers, the Hurricanes, and the Flyers. That's it. Don't trade me back there. Those 3 teams. He also played for Arizona, which doesn't exist, and Tampa, which was like a million years ago. So I'm sure he would mind getting traded back to Tampa. But when I saw that, I was like, I think I know what 3 teams he's talking about.
Yeah, I love that. That was great. And I wonder if he just did it like, kind of. He does seem to have like a hockey sense of humor, like about the league. So I wonder if that was just him like being like, I wonder if anyone's going to pick up on this little joke. And we got it, Tony. Good one. As you said, this is a guy who's going to be a number 4, number 5, number 6 defenseman on the team this year and next year. And he'll score the odd goal. He had 54. He said 54 points in his 111 games for us. So
again, fine. That's good.
Yeah, really, really total fine from a production standpoint. And I think he like slots in nicely with a couple different a couple other players. The one thing I'll say is that it's a really, he's to the Tony DeAngelo Islanders era. It's such a good reminder about how we just don't know shit about what's going to happen, right? You just don't know. You just don't know. People, the trade grades. I was laughing that JJ Peterka got traded from Utah after one season because everyone was like, Utah commits highway robbery on the Sabres. Like, let's all laugh at the Sabres again because JJ Peterka went to Utah for some Nepo baby Josh Doan, and now it's like, the trade looks terrible for Utah. They trade Peterka to Boston, and the Athletic was just all over, of course, the trade grades. I mean, they famously were the ones who were giving A+ out to the Rangers when they traded for Patrick Kane and Vlad Tarasenko that year too.
Right.
And, but so like you just never know. You just never know. So like if I, let's say in 2023 came up to you and I was like, look, the Islanders are going to have Tony DeAngelo on their team. You'd be like, God, no. And I'd be like, no. Not only are they going to have him, but by the they're going to extend him twice, and everyone's just going to be like, no, this guy's just been totally fine, and you'd be like, no, that's a way too far out in left field. That's the most insane thing you've ever said. And that's what's come to pass, right? It's just that Tony DeAngelo is now going to be a 250 game Islander if he stays healthy, at least. It stays on his contract. So, and he's going to play those 250 games in relatively normal fashion. He's going to have, 5 good ones, 2 bad ones, and 3 okay ones every 10. And he's that's just what he is. He's just kind of part of the Islanders now. And whether that's good or bad, as we keep saying, would we have liked to see the Islanders maybe been like, Tony's fine, we can plug him in, but let's try to go get somebody else who's better than Tony first. Of course we would have liked to see that, but they seem pretty hell-bent on running this thing back.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that would also change my perception of this too. If they, the offseason continues, the season will start eventually. If they do upgrade around Tony, and then, like you said, he ends up being the 6th, on the 3rd pair or whatever, then that works. And that's actually a pretty good deal, but otherwise, I was hoping for a different player there, a bit of an upgrade. But that being said, he's here. He's been fine. Matthew Darsh said he's a huge part of the locker room. He's a very well-liked teammate. I can believe that. So that's about it. And, there's not much we can do. But again, and this will lead us into our break, which will then lead us into our UFA discussion. What I do like about it is that it's short. It's 2 years. He'll be here next year for sure. And then the season after, if things go sideways, which is always a possibility, he can be traded at the deadline to somebody who's looking for a backup, defenseman or something like that. And then that's the end of that. So, I thought overall it was a fair deal. It's fine. I just want to see upgrades, which is, if you've been listening so far for this first hour, has been the theme of what we would like to see. But that being said, not a terrible weekend for the Islanders, just a pretty unexciting one. But it was exciting for some of their division mates, which really sucks. So let's take a break, come back on the other side, talk about some UFAs. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of trade stuff. And then we have a very brief Master Leaf Theater for everybody after that. All right. Thanks a lot. Meet us on the other side. And now a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin. Saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Looking for a protein shake that tastes as good as it performs? Meet Rockin' Protein Max. Packed with 50 grams of fuel, it'll help you keep up when your day won't slow down. And because it's always creamy and never chalky, every sip tastes great. Even better, it's lactose-free and has 0 added sugar. It's not every day you find a protein shake you actually want to finish. Catch Rockin' Protein in the dairy cooler at a store near you. Rockin' Protein and Shamrock Farms are registered trademarks of Shamrock Foods Company.
Okay, very quickly. This is our second to last episode for this season. Our season finale will be coming out on Friday. We're going to record that Thursday after the first couple of days of free agency, which starts on Wednesday, which is July 1st. So we'll meet in the evening of the 2nd, talk about the first couple of days, what shook out, wrap up the season. And then if you're listening on the main feed, the free feed, that will be it for us until October when we come back. Again, I saw some people last year. They're going, hey, what happened to the Islanders Anxiety podcast? We'll be back in October. Don't worry about it. If something else happens, trade, hiring, firing, whatever, we can always jump on and do an emergency podcast throughout the summer. But otherwise, we will be on our hiatus for the summer. Now, if you are a patron, you will get stuff all summer long, including our mailbags, country club atmospheres, written posts, chats. Obviously, we have going on all the time. And you never know. Maybe we throw stuff out there. I have some ideas. we'll see. It's a lot going on this summer. All of a sudden, every weekend in July, for some reason now I have something to do. So we'll have to see what goes on. So if you're a patron, you'll get stuff all summer long. If you're on the free feed, which is most people, Friday will be our last episode until October, when we'll come back for season 11. Also for patrons, on Tuesday, the latest edition of my Islanders book club. It is about one of the most compulsively readable books I have read in the series, and it is not about the Islanders. So I'm going to leave that there. Check it out. It was a really fun book. I'm really glad it was recommended to me, and I can't wait for people to read this. I also worked really hard on the picture, as I always do. This one took a little bit of creativity, but I like how it came out. So check that out. That's on the 30th on Tuesday, Dan's Islanders book club. And then, Friday will be our season finale. Okay. Oh, sorry. Last week we did our Weird Islanders podcast season finale, our weirdest Islander of the year. Thank you again to the great Isles chick Lisa for joining us and revealing our winner. If you don't know by now, it was indeed Jonathan Drouin was the winner of the weirdest Islander of the year. But don't let that stop you from listening if you haven't, because it was a lot of fun. Check that out. It was a great episode. People really enjoyed it. So and you can listen to those all summer long, which is fun. Okay. Let's talk UFAs, because again, Wednesday is July 1st. Floodgates are going to open. Honestly, a lot of times I try to either work from home that day or take the day off. This year doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem, because there's not a whole lot of names out there that are, again, sexy. People are going to try and grab them. I do want to talk about a few guys here. I isolated, again, if you want to make a big deal about the Islanders not having a ton of right-handed defensemen, I get that. That is true. And there is a guy out there that has been talked a little bit about with the Islanders. I wanted to get your take on it and, see how you feel and how other people feel. That is Rasmus Andersson. Was with Calgary for a long time. Wasn't going to re-sign there. Got traded to Vegas. Obviously went to the Cup final. Struggled a little bit with Vegas. Didn't really quite look like himself. Didn't fit with their system there. Started under Cassidy, then ended up being under Tortorella. He's 29. He is a righty. He does have some offensive flair for sure. I wouldn't be against the idea of Rasmus Andersson coming to the Islanders and filling that hole, but just because he's the guy who kind of fits that profile this year in a, let's be honest, a bad year for free agents, doesn't mean they need to throw this guy a ton of dough and a ton of years. If he wants to come over on a short-term deal, 2-3 years, probably for a bit of a higher AAV, that would be fine by me. No 8-year deals, please, for a guy who's already 29 years old. We don't need to do that, but short-term, with a higher AAV, I think I would be cool with. I don't know what Rasmus Andersson wants. I'm not sure he knows what he wants. He just didn't want to be in Calgary, which I also get as well. So he, to me, is the one guy that I would think, that would make sense. Nick Blankenberg is another guy we've talked about a little bit before. He would come in much, much cheaper for sure. But I don't know if he got traded from Nashville to Colorado last year. But I don't know if he's necessarily as good as Andersson. So those are the two guys that jumped out to me in terms of right-handed defensemen. What do you think about Andersson or Blankenberg? Or I'm going to throw a couple of guys that I don't want to see here in a minute, but what do you think of those guys so far, and like maybe what the Islanders' UFA strategy might be?
My guess is that Andersson ends up getting a pretty hefty, just because there's nobody out there, right?
Right.
So I think he's going to get.
It's a good year for Rasmus Andersson. Bad year for
exactly. great timing for Rasmus Andersson. He ends up getting a pretty big deal. And like you said, because of that, I mean, unless every once in a while you see like one of the big fish who kind of just like completely misreads the market. I remember John Klingberg a couple of years ago, and they like have to take all right, here's like a 2-year deal. If like that ends up happening, sure. And Blankenberg's crazy. He's just a crazy little guy out there. He's small. He's like a small little nut job out there. And so I like guys like that for sure. And he's like you said, righty. You look at the Islanders blue line, it feels pretty much set with
same guys we've been talking about for 6 years.
Yeah. Who might have a breakout season? That's Scott Mayfield. I mean, you look at, in case you forgot, on the right side, Ryan Pollock and Tony D with Scott Mayfield, left side, Schaefer, Romanov, and Pelech, and then Isaiah George and that whole cast of characters behind them. So if you're thinking, can we get a right D, a better number one right D than Pollock, which I think Rasmus Andersson is, go for it. I don't know. I wouldn't mind Trevor Van Riemsdyk, but I think he's actually going to be pretty highly sought after. Just decent, Adam Pelech like kind of guy who just doesn't really make mistakes and is solid defensively. He's a righty too. And I mean that the list on D is so short. I mean, Nick DeSimone is, I guess, like another one of like that type of just a no nonsense kind of guy. And I think that's what the Islanders are going to end up doing.
Yeah. So many of these guys are so old.
Yeah.
Like the guy who jumped out to me was Blankenberg because he's 28. And so was Andrew Peeke, who was with the Bruins all these years. And I'm like, am I really sitting here being like, I wouldn't mind the Islanders signing Andrew Peeke.
I got to take off work. I got to take off work to see
exactly.
it. Yeah.
They're both just, it's because they're 28, whereas like Radko Gudas, who's one of the guys I really don't want the Islanders, he's 36. Carlson, who just got traded to Carolina, is 36. Who did I just see? Jeff Petrie is 38. I mean, is he still playing out here? What's going on? So yeah, age is a real concern with these guys here this year.
I'm more interested to hear who you don't want from this group of very Spangler Cup kind of types, because there's a lot of them. I'm that I'm like, oh boy.
So actually, Van Riemsdyk was one because he's just kind of a body, I think, out there at this point. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't think he'd be that expensive, but I'm not really interested. Gudas is just old baggage. Like I really can't listen. If I've got to root for Tony DeAngelo, I'm not also going to root for fucking Radko Gudas. Like I'm not going to do I can't bring myself. You're asking too much of me, please. Give me a break here. So I can't do it. I like the snarl, but no thanks. The biggest one, and actually a guy, and I swear to God, I really hope I am not willing this into existence by even bringing him up as a conversation starter.
I know.
The guy I'm very, very nervous about is Jacob Trouba.
I knew you were going to say it. Yep.
Seems like a great guy. Don't get me wrong, but 32. Played okay for the Ducks, was run out of Madison Square Garden on a rail. I confess, I'm not sure what hospital his wife is working at right now. I hope she's very, happy there and very productive and doing a good job, treating people. But I thought to myself, this guy, he's got to be like, oh man, if I just sign with the Islanders, then I'm good to go. Assuming his wife is still at the same hospital here in the city. So I am very, very, very nervous about a Jacob Trouba back to New York in a different color, shade of blue and orange this time. So I don't know. Please talk me off the ledge here. I'm probably asking the wrong person to do this, but I really am afraid that this is going to happen. So I'm almost hoping they overpay Rasmus Anderson to keep them from doing this. Jacob Trouba.
Well, here's the thing. I think Jacob Trouba has a pretty big score to settle with a certain team.
Right.
There's probably no place for him to do that better than the Islanders.
You got it. Yeah.
And listen, if Jacob Trouba signs with the Islanders at a reasonable price and says, "Well, I've got a score to settle with the Rangers," I'll be like, "Yep, absolutely." Not only that, we're actually building you a statue.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Those are the conditions, right? They're right now. I
got 2 years to fuck these guys up as much as I can.
Yeah. Would you guys remember all those elbows that I never got called for the Rangers? You want me to see me start throwing them around at the Rangers? Sure. I have a feeling he'll end up in Philly. Feels like it. Just and he can do it. He can do that there.
Right.
But yeah,
Jersey too, I suppose.
Well. Yeah, I knew you were gonna go there. There's a bunch of others that's just like I'm just a little nervous about. I think like we just don't need to see the Islanders get involved in and they seem, like you said, like they seem pretty to genuinely be like we're not going to be giving out the 4 or 5, 6, 7 year deal,
right?
And if you are on July 1st this year, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, but, and which if that's in fact what they are avoiding, give them credit for doing that because that's actually a very prudent, smart thing to do.
Yeah, but that said, like I think there just are at least some interesting bargain bin guys that can come and maybe push Scott Mayfield down. You don't need to write Scott Mayfield's name. You don't need to, you don't need to write basically anybody on this. There's a few guys you need to write in, but like half the blue line, you don't need to write their name and permanent marker into the roster. And then the forward group is it's even like it's scarier. I don't know what to do. Yeah, there's going to be a team that pays a good money and gets Mason Marchment, who's like a decent player, and great, go for it. Wouldn't, if he ends up on the Islanders at a fair deal, sure, it's great. You know, him and Matthew Barzal have to settle their differences, but yeah, it's just what they need. I just don't think they're gonna be able to get. Like, do you think that Anthony Mantha scored 33 goals last year for the Penguins? The Islanders desperately need somebody who could score 33 goals for them. But I don't think you can sign Anthony Mantha to a 5-year, $8 million, whatever he's going to get,
right?
The big deal, and be like, well, this is the guy who we're pinning our hopes for to score 40 goals for us, because I just don't know. He's proven that he's not that, and the Islanders they're not going to get that player. Like, they just need they need a better version of Kyle Palmieri and desperately, and they're not going to get that in the free agency. They could have tried to get it via trade, but they seem reluctant to do that.
Right.
We'll see how I think Pavel Dorofeyev, that's a lot of money for him, but at the same time, he's a good player. He scores a ton of goals, and like that's the type of prototype of a player that the Islanders need, and you're just not gonna get that on July 1st.
I've heard already some concern that Dorofeyev may or may not have been a bit of a product of Jack Eichel, who doesn't play for the Rangers. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and he does not find any chemistry with Captain Mopey, Kevin Hayes, or Mika Zibanejad. And again, much like their first round pick of Albert Smith, I think there's a high probability that Hayes might just bully the both of them into panic attacks, and maybe they both retire and join a Zen monastery or something. I don't know, but we'll have to see. But the forward group of UFAs is pretty rough. I forgot one more defenseman I wanted to mention too, Troy Stecher. Again, had a bit of a resurgence with the Leafs. Maybe that's just like Leafs bias because of all the Kipper and Bourne episodes we listened to. But I could see maybe giving him a short-term deal wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Very short-term, certainly no more than 2 years. But again, he's 32. And then looking at the UFA list, these dudes are old. Mantha's 31. Victor Arvidsson gets talked about a lot. He's 33. Marchment, I think, gets talked about the most because he's a relatively spry 31. I mean, the Islanders' own UFA is Anders Lee. He's 35. So these guys are really old. And I mean, in fairness, Jack Roslovic is the baby of the group. He's 29. In fairness, I don't think a lot of these guys are going to look towards the Islanders, because I think, if you're a 33-year-old Boone Jenner who spent his entire career in Columbus and you're a UFA, are you going to just sign up with another version of the Columbus? No, you're not. You're going to want to shoot for a cup. So he's going to sign with Carolina or Vegas or Tampa or Florida. Right. So I don't think any of these guys are looking towards the Islanders at all. And you hope that they don't, overpay any of them. Oliver Bjorkstrand is 31. Maybe he might be interesting. I could see, but as a take a flyer on. But again, if you're the Islanders, you want to keep things short. I don't know how many of these guys are going to be interested. Maybe would Matt Zuccarello at 38 years old return to the area as an Islander this time? I doubt it. Claude Giroux also 38. So these guys are old, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe Vladimir Tarasenko continues his tour of the NHL, plays for a 90th team in the last couple of years. But it's a bad year for free agents. So we'll see what happens. The quieter the Islanders are on Wednesday, I think, generally speaking, it's the better. Although, again, here we are saying we want change. We want a new team. We want things to move in the right direction. Looking at this list, this is not it. This is not the way to do that.
Well, that's the frustration. It's like, you had an opportunity to do this.
Exactly.
So now, if you feel the heat of like, oh God, we're coming. All the fans are mad that we're not coming back. Get me Jacob Trouba's number. Yeah, like that'll excite the fan base, right? That's right. I don't want that. I don't think that's what's going to happen though. But I think it's those opportunities have already passed the Islanders by to make those, or who knows? They've got the whole summer, but they seem pretty cozy in what their plan is here to just run it back. So,
right. And in this case, that might be, when it comes to these UFAs, that is the best course of action.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like the Susie trade. We're like, yeah, we need an NHL body. No, not that one. Like,
Yeah,
we need
exactly.
change. No.
Right, but that just cost them a 3rd round pick.
Right, I know.
This could cost them,
right.
$9 million over the next 9 years. We don't want to see that, or 8 years.
You know what? If I know his contract doesn't run out till next season, but I think we'd also be like, do not, under any circumstances, give a contract to Andre Palat.
Yeah, please do not do that.
Yeah. He's like the poster child for the type of player we're always afraid that you end up with. But
I'm going to go ahead and give the Islanders the benefit of the doubt and say that they're not going to do that. But that being said, the way to do that, like you said, would have been trades. And of course, without a 2nd round pick, without a 3rd round pick, without that additional 1st round pick, that those options disappeared. And so in a way, Carson Soucy did kind of cost them a little bit more than a 3rd round pick, because they could have used it maybe for something else. We're not going to go through all these trades. There's a ton. A lot of them were just picks basically, but we should address it. We've been talking kind of around it this whole time. The Rangers pick up Pavel Dorofeyev, 2 first rounders, their 2026 pick, which actually came from Dallas, the 2028 pick, which is conditional, and then a 3rd round pick also from this year as well. So big, 2 first round picks is kind of a big deal. And then they sign the guy to an 8-year, $11 million contract. Again, I'm hoping that he's a 30 goal scorer a couple of times in a row. Was not on Vegas's Cup team, which was a little surprising to me, honestly. But is definitely a good player, and he is basically your Panarin replacement, assuming that, the situation all works out the same. I hope it doesn't. My biggest thing with this wasn't even that the Rangers got this guy. It was like, okay, what is Vegas going to do now that they've opened up this space? And it means basically one of 2 guys, either Connor Hellebuck or Dylan Larkin. So maybe we can see one of those 2 guys move. But what'd you make of we'll stop. We won't get into that. But what'd you make of the Dorofeyev move? The Rangers didn't pick up Mason McTavish, who got traded to St. Louis. The Blues were very active. They picked up McTavish. They picked up Brandon Carlo from the Leafs. So it could have been worse, I suppose. But Dorofeyev's a big name. And they were talking about him like he was Guy Lafleur on the ESPN draft broadcast. And I was like, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but let's calm down a little bit. We've seen a lot of good players come here and maybe not be so good. So what do you think of this trade and, how the Rangers shape up now?
Yeah, it's, as you said, like the JT Miller factor is still looms, and he, let's hope that he's on his worst behavior. He's still on the no BS train.
Right. Yeah.
I think that the Dorofeyev trade, once again, it frustrated me because of, it's possible to get a player like that, right? Like, you can go get those players.
Right.
And the fact that he ends up with the Rangers, and you're like, well, it's been so nice to have them be this tire fire for a couple of years, where players are for our entire lives, players were asking to go to the Rangers, and then Brady Tkachuk was like, no, I don't, I'm not going to the Rangers. And to see that was really music to my ears. And now with them, Dorofeyev makes them better objectively, and that's frustrating because it was nice having them down at the basement. And I think that because of they're the Rangers, they will get bounces and they'll get help, and the goalie, and he makes them a little just more annoying. So it just added to my frustration that they got better more than anything, and that they kind of took a player who, as I said before, it was like the exact prototype. It doesn't have to be this particular, it doesn't have to be Pavel Dorofeyev, but that prototype of player is what the Islanders have been crying out for since 2001. Right. Since they got Alexei Yashin. Like, that's the type of player they just haven't had. And I guess Thomas Vanek was the last one, and he was here for 6 months, not even 3 months. And
like you said, you can get those guys.
You can get
there's no written rule that the Islanders can't participate in this exact kind of trade, but they just don't.
They just don't. Yeah, they just didn't. And so now that's why it was so frustrating. And I mean, even like we talked about the Kyrie trade a little bit with Washington, and then they get Alex Tuch, right? And the Capitals a couple of years ago were, everyone's like, the Capitals just need to tear it down. Like, they're done.
Right.
Backstrom's gone. Ovechkin's at the end. They don't have, John Carlson's 34, whatever he was at the time. They just don't have it. Tom Wilson's aging out. And they were just like, no, we don't need to listen to you. We can just make trades and make different, we can conduct a lot of tidy business and keep being good. And the Capitals have just been good. I mean, the Capitals have been good for 20 years for the most part, right? And the Penguins, outside of those 3 years prior to this one, have just been good for 20 years. I know they have generational players, but guess what? So do the Islanders now, right? Like they have one too. So you can be good. You can be good for like a long, long time. It doesn't have to be a ebb and flow. The Rangers were good forever. I mean, all these teams find a way to just be competitive without needing to have this like existential crisis every few seasons. And the Islanders have been in one for 5 years. Like they've just been in this like floating out there in the middle of the NHLC with they're in the doldrums and like there's nowhere to go. And we were promised that wouldn't be, and that we'd get out of the doldrums by this new regime a year ago. And instead they've just like put the anchor down and been like, no, this is, weather's fine. We're good here. And the other ships are just the teams that we thought were like crashing ashore are just passing us by. And like, we just got this Russian guy. He's great. And the Capitals like, yeah, we just got 2 really good players too. Like we couldn't score last year either. And guess what we did? We got 2 guys who could score now. Like that's how smart is that? And the Islanders like, well, you don't have a healthy Kyle Palmieri and Alex Romanov coming back. Look out.
Again, they don't have the ammunition to make these moves, and so you don't get a Jordan Kyrou. You don't get an Alex Tuck. And even if you did have the ammunition, frankly, you don't have the success rate of the last few years to get those guys to want to come, And so the Capitals got better just by virtue of getting Kyrou and Tuck. Yeah, they gave up Connor McMichael, who's a nice player, but these 2 guys more than make up for it. They signed Tuck to a really big deal.
I mean, that's like 60 goals, right? Just think about it. Like, let's just say like one of them scores 35, one scores 25, could be whatever, 30. I remember Steve Valiquette saying on Kipper and Bourne a few weeks ago, I can't remember the exact number. He's like, let's just say 250s. You need 250 goals to make the NHL playoffs. 90% of the teams who score 250 make it, something like that. And like, so if you look at it that way, the Islanders are just, the Capitals just covered 25% of that by making two moves. And the Islanders just are not going that way. So it's all real frustrating. And I don't know. It's especially because these are teams in the division that too, right? We didn't watch the Utah Mammoth get Pavel Dorofeyev. We watched the Rangers get him, and then the Capitals do it. So you're just like, boy, this is tough to watch. And we didn't even mention, by the way, all the run it backness. And I'd be lying if I wouldn't say I'm like kind of excited about it. But they're just like, yeah, no, Semyon Varlamov is going to be the backup next year.
Yeah, he says he feels better than he ever has, and after 2 knee surgeries. So.
And I'm all for being like, we'll see what he's got. I know they said they're going to get an insurance option too, but it's just that to have that press conference where Darsh is like, we're not going to be doing much. I don't see any significant changes coming. He goes, so much so that Semyon Varlamov's coming back. To be the backup.
He talked about qualifying Shabanov and Gatcomb, and probably not Boqvist. So there's your change right there. There's no Adam Boqvist. Ooh. But yeah, again, the Islanders are more or less running it back, whereas the even teams out of the division, again, the Leafs obviously got significantly better. They got Darren Radish on a big deal from there. Obviously the McKenna, we don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be exciting, at least for a little while for them. They might still trade Morgan Riley. The Bruins not only picked up JJ Peterka, who we mentioned before, who I don't know what happened to him last year. He was really good with Buffalo, and then he went to Utah and was not good. But now he's back east. He's playing for the Bruins. They also picked up Ivan from the Avalanche. Yep. So we get to make those jokes, which is a lot of fun. Yeah.
And all the Avalanche players are going to their GM went to the Predators, and he's just getting them all.
Yeah,
basically. And Jack Drury.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, Ross Johnson is a free agent. I'll take Ross. We can get Ross back. Get Ross on a 1-year deal. Look, if we're bringing if Semyon Varlamov on two fake knees, we can. Well, there's definitely, if you're gonna do this, just go full bit, right, and get Ross back here.
Yeah. The Blue Jackets picked up Valerie Nichushkin, who's sort of hit or miss. He could be great, or he could just go MIA. We don't know. The Sabres picked up Olin Zellweger. They traded Bo Byram, got the 4th overall pick, and then just picked up Zellweger, who's just a younger version of the same guy. So they've been very active as well. Everybody loves Yarmo all of a sudden. And actually, the first trade that sort of kicked everything off was Garnet Hathaway going from the Flyers to the Panthers to add to their collection of shitbirds, which is not going to be a fun team to play against. Obviously, we didn't really talk about Brady Tkachuk. We don't need to talk about Brady Tkachuk. We all know what happened. Or did we talk about Brady Tkachuk last week? I think we did. Anyway, in any event, teams are making moves. The Islanders just want to bring back the same guys that they had last year for the most part, plus a bunch of new younger guys, and that's sort of where we're at right now. And that is the reality right now. So how any of this shakes out, again, we should mention that Peter DeBoer does coach the Islanders now, so I do think that there's a bit of that's an upgrade for sure over the last couple of years. But the help is not coming via free agency. They did not have the draft picks to make any significant, trades. And they just, didn't really swing much at the draft either. Now, that being said, they have all of their picks next year, the year after. Actually, they have an additional 6th round pick next year. Okay, great. So maybe that time period is over. But as of right now, this is the team. So we'll see, unless something really, really crazy happens. And it probably won't. So in other words, don't clear your calendar for Wednesday. I think you could probably come back at the end of the day and be like, oh, who got traded? Who got signed here? Oh, the Rangers signed some guys. Okay, great. And then that's the end of that. But I think otherwise for our team, we will have a chat open at the Patreon for free agency day. So people can chit chat there during the day. But again, I'm not too worried about getting too distracted at work for some trades or some signings. I keep saying trades, but signings. Okay. Our final bit today is a favorite. And I joked about this in a chat, actually. If the Islanders do come back with more or less the same team next year, and we go into year 6 of the 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 27 Islanders, I hope people like Master Leaf Theater, because we might be doing a lot more of those bits as I keep myself occupied during the course of the show. And thankfully, we have one here from a legend of the genre. And so I'm very excited to present a really, really, frankly, unhinged edition of Master Leaf Theater. I don't want to get into any Gavin McKenna stuff because, listen, we make fun of the Leafs and their fans, but this is truly a reason to be excited. We'll see how the kid works out. We had a first overall pick last year as Islanders fans, and it was exciting. The future is wide open, and so I don't want to make fun of any of that kind of stuff because they get to do that right now. That's the beauty of having a first overall pick. However, it is the Leafs, and of course, they can never leave well enough alone. And you know that in the hands of Luke Fox Jukebox, one first overall pick is definitely not enough. Mike, what do you know about Zach Werenski's situation right now via the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Is he still on the Columbus Blue Jacket?
He is as of right now, yes.
Is he? Okay, because I keep seeing him on the Toronto Maple Leafs. It sounds like the way that everyone's talking about. But yeah, I mean it's I know his situation was what was, we saw this coming, right? It's, you can go as far back as Matthew Tkachuk, and Johnny Gaudreau in Calgary, like that these American kind of players are really tight and they don't want to play in Canada, and that was kind of the first push. And then the Dylan Larkin situation, and started to be like, oh, it's not just about Canada. These guys they want to play on a team with one of their buddies and they want to win. And so Brady Tkachuk goes to Florida. Dylan Larkin's trade request is still out there. And I love that Steve Eisman's like, he's still got 5 years on his contract. So I don't know. And then when we got tired of Dylan Larkin, I was like, I'm starting to wonder about Zach Werenski too. I haven't heard anything yet, and for a week we're like, yeah, we know how this ends now. Like in a couple days, we're going to hear, yep, it does sound like that is coming to fruition. So Werenski joins the let's see. So it's Quinn Hughes, Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, Dylan Larkin. Werenski will be 5, and Connor Hellebuck will be 6. So 6 players from that Team USA team now who are gonna the player empowerment era, as they keep calling it. And so he's using his his player empowerment. I mean, talk about player empowerment too, not to go off to the side, but the Edmonton Oilers players hired their coach. It sounds like it's if you're reading into it, it sounds like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman got together and said, we want Mike Babcock to be our coach, and the Oilers said okay. And now so Werenski's he's pushing his way out of Columbus, and if you ask a certain group of people, it sounds like there's only one destination that could possibly he can possibly end up where everybody wants to go.
Of course. Yeah. And no, it's not Vegas. And no, it's not Florida. And no, it's not Carolina. And no, it's not Tampa. It's Toronto. Because why wouldn't Zach Werenski want to play in Toronto? And you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? Why would he want to do that? Well, in the mind of Luke Fox, this makes the perfect sense. And today, this was from Saturday, June 27th at Sportsnet. The headline is an absolute grabber. Why the Maple Leafs should push for a Zach Werenski blockbuster. You could swap out the Maple Leafs for literally every team in the league aside from Columbus, and it would make a lot of sense. But in Luke Fox's mind, the Maple Leafs are the only team that makes sense. And so this lead is incredible. And it is not just for the Leafs, to get better by acquiring Zach Werenski. An acquisition of Zach Werenski would make the Leafs literally change the entire landscape of the NHL. And all of a sudden, all those guys you mentioned, they wouldn't want to play in the sunny, warm, winning, tax-free states of the United States. They would want to go to the cold, very expensive, and haven't won jack shit in 50 years, 60 years, warm embrace, cold, dead embrace of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, this all makes sense in Luke Fox's mind. And so we shall read this, and this is just the lead, and this is all we need to read because it's incredible. He starts with this. He says, imagine a world where the Toronto Maple Leafs flip it, turn the trend upside down, where the American gold medalist doesn't only wish to remain in the Canadian city that drafted him, but welcomes another U.S. star north of the border. And the two of them try to win a Stanley Cup on foreign soil. For years, the Maple Leafs have whispered about the possibility of a, quote, Kawhi move, the one where they rattle the league and truly push all in, spending off the current roster and not simply shedding first-round picks. Zach Werenski is available less than 3 weeks after being awarded the Norris Trophy as hockey's best defenseman. He's in his prime, age 28. He's hot off back-to-back 20-goal, 80-point, 26-plus minutes per night campaigns. And reportedly, he is open to the idea of waiving his no-movement clause to one Canadian team. The same one, captained by a friend and fellow Olympic champion, Austin Matthews, with whom Werenski shares an agent, Judd Moldaver, and a contract expiration date, July 1st, 2028. John Chayka, you may never have a shot at trading for a difference maker of this caliber again. So not only are the Leafs acquiring Zach Werenski, they are literally changing the entire trajectory of the league. Like, okay, no more of this Vegas, Carolina, Florida nonsense. You guys are all going to want to come here. I mean, this is like delusional, I guess is the first word that comes to mind, but like, this is kind of crazy. I mean, it's one thing to be like, oh man, it'd be great if my team had that really good player. Sure, of course, we're all thinking about that. Aside from us, because we know Zach Werenski's not coming to Long Island, but this presupposes that not only does he come here, but also all of a sudden everybody's attitude in the league completely changes. And in a way, I almost am impressed that Luke Fox still has this amount of gas in the tank that he can pull off this kind of thinking for his Maple Leafs. It's incredible.
Imagine a world where the Toronto Maple Leafs flip it and turn the trend upside down. Like it. When I clicked the link to read this, and I was like, I know this article is going to make me mad, but that first sentence sent me over. Right. I was like, I can't. I'm going outside. It's nice out. And but what's so great about this is they're writing this as they're the last 10 days or so that were before the draft, that there was like a 10-day discourse about the Tkachuk thing and about how all these people in Canada and around the league and the media was like, they were stomping their feet about how it's so unfair that these guys, they don't want to go to Canadian cities. That American team, their group chat, it's evil. It sucks. Everyone's leaving Canada. It's not fair. The league needs to address this. And then Zach Werenski comes and like, actually, we're going to take that player. Forget what we just said. It's actually really fair. And what obviously Luke Fox Jukebox isn't the only one who's written about this in Toronto. Jonas Siegel has too, and they're all writing about it from the point of view of, wow, wouldn't the Columbus Blue Jackets just be thrilled and honored to make a trade with the Toronto Maple Leafs? It would just probably cost Matthew Knies, like for the Blue Jackets would cut us a discount because, well, we are the number one revenue driver in the league, the Maple Leafs, and you should want to help us out. Everyone wants to help us out. I love, so they're all coming from it. Like that Jonas Siegel had, like his article was basically, do the Leafs have enough to give the Blue Jackets? And he's basically arguing against himself the entire time. He's like going through their list and you're like, well, no, I think Thomas Harley, if the Dallas Stars are like, yeah, we're going to trade. I don't think Don Waddell is going to be like, yeah, no, whatever you guys could do for us would be great. If it is Matthew Knies, that'd be nice. Maybe kick in a first round pick. Oh, you guys don't have your own first round pick. You got the Avalanches. Yeah, that's fine. Totally. You're the Maple Leafs. Like we just love, yeah, don't forget that the Stars are going to give us Thomas Harley. Like he's already under contract. That's no big, yeah, we'd much rather work with you guys. But yeah, it's all written from that perspective, which I really appreciate. And it's a skill that these Maple Leafs writers have more than anyone I've ever seen. I think Yankee fans and like Yankee radio personas and writers in like the aughts, they wrote like from that too. Like Jason Giambi, for example, they'd just be, you'd write about Jason Giambi for, oh yeah, the Yankees are going to go get Jason Giambi. And then they would because they were the Yankees at the time and they were winning World Series all the time. These are the Maple Leafs. They just chased Mitch Marner out of town. Do you think Zach Werenski's like, yeah, I definitely want Luke Fox Jukebox. He's probably reading this like, yeah, whoever his agent is, Judd Moldaver. He's like, Judd, yeah, I can't be near this guy. So please. So yeah, I'm a little like I'd be lying if I wasn't going to say I'm like a little bit nervous because it's just going to be written about over and over and over again to the point where they're just going to will it into existence. And they've done that before with a player. I don't know if you remember in about 8 years ago to the day, in a few days, they did that and they successfully accomplished that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit nervous, but at the same time you read this and you're like, like a 13-year-old who's a Utah Mammoth fan or a Nashville Predators fan or an Islanders fan could just be like, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if we got Zach Werenski and that person is not getting paid by the team, the company that owns the Toronto Maple Leafs to write this stuff. So
yeah, this is, I mean, he obviously crossed this Rubicon a long time ago, but this is where Luke Fox loses any credibility as a non-Leafs fan writing about the Leafs. Like at this point, Luke Fox is just an arm of the Leafs PR department writing for Sportsnet, who, co-own the team. And it's just like kind of making his case. And again, it's incredible that, he goes from, wow, this would be a great trade to this would completely reset the attitude of pretty much half the guys in the league. Like, that's just not, I think, how this is going to work. And also, I almost did a thing where, because he had written 4 days ago, 4 days prior to this, I should say, about how the Maple Leafs really need to be careful about a Matthew Knies trade, because you can't just give this guy away. He's in his prime. This is a great, player and he's good. But here he's like, oh yeah, they should definitely trade Matthew Knies for Zach Werenski. And he even jokes in the thing, this is why I didn't do it. He jokes like, yeah, I know I wrote about not trading Knies, but this is Werenski we're talking about here. So get rid of that motherfucker. We don't really care anymore. So like, he's out here trying to will these deals into existence and will a complete change of attitude amongst NHL players, US based NHL players. And I don't think that that's going to work. Not that Werenski couldn't get traded to the Leafs, obviously. They've also been pretty aggressive in the last few days, unlike the Islanders. So it's this this thing to me really tripped over that line. We try and, I always say that I don't want to make Master Leaf Theater about bullying Luke Fox. This is the kind of thing that deserves bullying, because it's just like, we're flying past the, wow, this guy would really help my team, into like, wouldn't it be great if everybody wanted to play for the Leafs and nobody wanted to play anywhere else? And all these great players came here and decided, no, I don't want to play where it's nice and where I get more money. I want to come here. And I just, Luke, I don't see that happening, buddy. I really don't. And I tried reading Jonas Siegel's article on the same exact, possible trade, and it was not nearly as out there as this one.
No.
So
Jonas is just like him, literally trying to put together the trade proposal for John Chayka. He's like, here, John, I did the hard work for you. As usual, I was right.
Right.
But
we're making the money work. Yeah.
The Luke's is if he was in school in 8th grade, and the teacher came and said, all right, everyone, your essay assignment for today is to write about the Toronto Maple Leafs trading for your favorite player in the league. Okay, I want you to write about that, and it's due in a couple days, and make sure you proofread it, make sure your parents take a look at it. That's what this is. That is the level of wish casting going on here too. And we talked about this, I think, last time, about Jonas and being like, I got a really interesting name out there for the Leafs to go after, and it was Werenski, and Luke's doing the same thing here, which is like them whispering in the ears of John Chayka, not too loud, so the other teams, you should go get Zach Werenski. Him being like, he absolutely has to explore this trade. Yeah, no shit, man. Like, if I found out that Matthew Darsh didn't pick up the phone and at least call Don Waddell and be like, yeah, I don't think he's coming here, but just like let us know what it would take. Like, I think he'd have to lose his job, because when a player, one of the best players in the league, it's public that he's wants to be traded, you make that call. So I don't think that John Chayka, the talented Mr. Chayka, needed Luke Fox jukebox to be like, he has to do this,
right?
And Jonas. So it's this one hits all the notes. It hits all the notes, and I hope that this remains funny. Hopefully that this situation ends up. He's obviously not coming to the Islanders, so hopefully it just ends up with him like going to Dallas or somewhere on that's not harmful to us really, and he just goes, and we can laugh about this some more, and they can move on to the next guy. They'll just. This isn't a new phenomenon either. Luke, no. You guys do this when whoever the next guy that pops up is, you will be writing the same article for him. The same, what's 8th grade classroom level article.
Right. What's funny to me is that they just acquired Darren Radish. And did he just write the same article? Did he just change the names, about this for Darren Radish? But this to me was just very funny. One thing, if it was like, yeah, this would be great, and they can move off of Morgan Riley and all that's fine, and then we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. But the fact that he thinks that this is going to literally rewire the brains of every American
the Leafs save the league.
Right. Yeah.
They save not only do they save the league, they save Canada.
Right.
just the rivers will be teeming with American born players from Saskatoon to the Maritimes. Thanks, Luke. This is great, man. You're so good at your job.
And then, of course, it wouldn't be a coincidence that this happened after Brady Tkachuk, walked out of Ottawa. So another element for Luke here. But anyway, this was a wonderful Master Leaf Theater to end on. I don't know if we'll do one next episode, but if not, this was a great way to tie all this up. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Again, Friday season finale. We'll talk about the first couple of days, I should say, of free agency. Don't expect it to be a lot of Islanders related talk, but we will definitely kind of summarize the season, get our final thoughts out about, how we started and how we got here, and look forward to next year, I guess. And then we'll go on our hiatus, which will be back in October. If you're a patron, you'll get stuff all summer long. So it's just a hiatus for the main feed, the free feed. But otherwise, if you want more, patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety. You get commercial-free episodes, bonus podcasts, written posts, chats with us, and a whole lot more. Never a bad time to sign up. Or you could always just sign up, join for free to get our weekly release calendar as well. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music on Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion. Dom did great work on the draft picks and on Gustafsson. He's got a bunch of links collated in there if you want to know more about him. So that's at Lighthouse Hockey. Islanders Anxiety Podcasts are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Please leave us a review where you can. Please sign up, subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you have a minute this summer, leave us a review. 5-star one, please. We'd be really very, very, very helpful. Shop vintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project. Mike, any final thoughts on the draft, on the dawn of free agency, which is looking like a pretty dark one right now? Yep. Everybody getting better, but the Islanders, or any of the other subjects we've covered here tonight?
No, I'm good. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe they surprise. I don't hold my breath, but I won't hold my breath. But maybe they surprise us. We can end things on a little bit of a chipper note rather than what we've been having to deal with. But we're not gonna dress it up just to make ourselves smile. I don't know. We'll tell it like it is, and right now, what it is more of the same, which was exactly what they promised us would be. There's no way it will be more of the same.
I need to go back a year.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah,
actually, because maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe we're like, just expect a couple more seasons just like that, except with Matthew Schaefer, and of course that is one of the things you can't at this point. We can't just be like, but they also have Matthew Schaefer, so like that's great, but because that's understood. But I am still very grateful that he's here at least. So
yeah. We hope he has a great summer. I don't know about the rest of them.
He does. He's like seems like such a summer guy, like a guy that just really makes the most of it. Plays some stick ball or whatever.
I'm assuming he's getting indoctrinated into the NHL offseason golf world as we speak. So we'll have to see. But we'll be back one more episode to wrap all this stuff up. And hopefully we have something to really look forward to next season other than Matthew Schaefer's progression and, one less year of the guys that we really should be moved on from. Either way, we'll be back on Friday. We'll talk to you again then and wrap things up. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.